Hi guys, it's Mrs. Lewis here. We are going to go over how to graph a line from slope-intercept form. Um, so the first thing we want to do is we want to look at our equation and make sure it's set to y equals. It should be this format, y equals mx plus b. If your equation isn't set to equal y, you want to first rearrange your equation algebraically to get it so you have y on one side by itself and then the variable and your b value on the other side. So when we're looking at this equation, our m here represents our slope of our line, and our b here represents our y-intercept of our graph. So let's look at how we actually do this. Wrote out some steps. So our very first step here is we want to graph that b value or our y-intercept onto our graph first, because once we have that, we know it crosses that y-axis. So once we have that, we can use our slope, which is step 2, to start to figure out the line, what it's going to look like, etc., and plot a second point. Once we have a second point plotted, we can go ahead and draw the line to connect the 2 points and finish our graph. So a few things to remember about graphing a line is that our slope, this m value, is actually written as a fraction, which is rise over run. Rise meaning how far something goes up or down. So rise is going to take you up or down. Run is always going to take you to the right. So the top number tells you up or down, depending on if it's positive or negative. Positive goes up, negative goes down, and then your run is always going to go to the right. So when you end up graphing a line, if your equation is negative, your line is going to be tilted this way. If your equation is positive, we know our line is going to be tilted this way. So if you look down here at the bottom to these 2 examples that we're going to go through, I can tell immediately that because this line is positive, I should have a line that is graphed that is tilted this way. And because there's a negative sign here for the second example, I know I'm going to have a line that is tilted in this direction. So immediately we can tell that without having to graph anything. So let's look at these examples. So step 1 of this left example is to plot our y-intercept, which in this example is 4. So I'm going to count up 4 spots, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to draw a dot on the y-axis at 4, positive 4. So we know we have at least 1 spot. So my slope here is 1/4. My slope is 1/4, 1 being the rise, 4 being the 1. So we're going to go up 1 spot over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's going to run into the 4 of the fraction. And when I connect those 2 dots to draw my line, it's going to look something like this. Okay, so that's example 1. So the second example, we have our negative equation, so we know it's going to be tilted the other way. We also have a negative or a -2b value. So instead of going up 2, I'm going to put my 2 here in the negative direction. So next I need to graph my slope, which is -2/3. So because it's negative, I'm going to go down 2 and then to the right 3. So I'm going to go down 2 spots, 1, 2, to the right 3 spots. We're going to have a point approximately there. And so last step is I can just connect my 2 points to create my line.